cooperating.
As far as I know.
Okay. Chairman Skoog.
Present.
Vice Chairman Nye.
I am here.
Okay.
There you
And Board Member Anderson.
Here.
Board Member Grossman.
I'm here.
Board Member Mallory.
Here.
Board Member Whiting.
Here.
And Board Member Rooney.
We're here.
We have a
Hey, we
quorum,
could join.
Chairman.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we go on the consent agenda. Jody will read that.
On the consent agenda, all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the district boards and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately for discussion and possible action.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, number A, approval of November 16, 2017 CFD meetings. Any comments? Anyone want to pull that item for separate discussion, or do you want to approve it as a whole?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as a whole.
I'll second.
Okay, we have the motion.
No, I won't.
We have the motion and a second. Would you set the vote?
Sorry, I said mayor.
I got you.
I have it.
It's working.
You said no?
I said mayor. I'm supposed to say chairman. Sorry.
Did you set your vote thing? Go
It's
ahead.
not coming up.
Mayor Skoog, how do you wish to vote?
I'm going to say yes. It doesn't show the vote thing there. So.
Mayor. Board Member Mallory, how do you wish to vote?
Yes.
Board Member Whiting, how do you wish to vote?
Yes.
That's unanimously approved, Mayor.
It's over there.
Oh, there it is. Join.
Did you see?
Said that's unanimous. We can move on.
Yeah. Okay, we move on then to no business for discussion only. Event Center Landscaping Services. Norm, you are up.
Yes, Mayor. Good evening, board members. The item I'm going to talk to you about tonight is council may be aware that the Entertainment Center Community Facilities District, as part of the Chapter 11 bankruptcy, there was $2 million of bond money set aside for refurbishment of various capital projects and other items as part of the rehabilitation for the event center, basically to give it a little facelift. So we've got 4 items I want to talk to you, and I'll cover each one individually, but they're somewhat interrelated, so I have some overheads to show you. So the first one on that you have for you for a board action is, or to discuss, is the Event Center Landscaping Services. So what you see above you is the lot number 1, we call it the main lot. That council may recall that went through a significant rehabilitation. That project was awarded this past November, and about $588,000 was spent to basically redo the whole parking lot and repave it. So that project was done. So that's what you're seeing, the outline in the exhibit to frame what we're seeing. But the green you see there, and speak directly to what this item is, it's the landscaping enhancement that's been proposed by staff for actually to put trees along Florentine and also Glassford Hill Road. So the exhibit you see up there, the little circles you see there are individual trees. What we wanted to do too was we wanted to follow the palette that Prescott Valley had for trees. So the recommendation is not particular one species. In case you get a particular bug or some blight for a particular species, it kills everything you have. So we worked with our annual landscape contractor to come up with a particular palette of the various trees. And I always like to point out to council, by working with the landscaper, these are called urban cultivated varieties. So they're actually an engineered tree that do well in an urban environment, which means they live with pretty harsh environment at times in either a median or adjacent to a road. It lives on car exhaust sometime, cars that run over the curb get backed into some. So nice thing about these trees is they have a nice canopy, but they're pretty hardy, and they don't grow. They certainly have a height of about 15 to 20 feet. So very specifically, I hate to use the term dwarf variety, they're urban cultivated varieties, so they work well, so that they add a nice ambiance to the area, but not overpowering, which you can't see the buildings behind. So with that in place, I would like to point out that you see the different numbers there correspond to 5 different tree varieties that do very well at this elevation and really somewhat drought tolerant and live very good at this elevation. So what you see up here is the particular tree varieties along Florentine down on the bottom. As you can see along the edge there, that's along Glassford Hill Road. So different varieties planted there. We also have shrub varieties, the existing large sign, event center sign. We didn't want trees to obstruct that, so obviously we put about 20 of shrubs that do very well there that you see in the medians around. So once again, those are urban cultivated varieties that do very well here and drought tolerant, to speak, and still look very nice. We also have an attention to that these urban cultivated varieties actually flower well in the spring, as you see here currently, the nice flowering bud you see. And also these varieties, many of them have a nice color in the fall. So you get about it all in this type of tree. That's what we have proposed. To get to how we're procuring this particular improvements was with the annual landscape contract, we're able to use a competitively bid price and our working relationship to save a lot of design and effort to actually purchase the materials with the allowable markup for the contract and use a competitively bid labor items in order to plant these particular trees. So that particular contract with that's utilized both Public Works and Parks, we're able to do a change order to that existing contract, use those competitively bid unit items, streamline it, so to speak, and get these trees actually on order. And they're on order currently. We've awarded a contract already to Kalo Landscape for $26,688. So the trees are on order, and we've done actually, you may have noticed we actually did some work in-house with the streets department to take up some of the dirt piles that have been left around as part of over the years. We've actually used that dirt adjacent to Glacier Hill Road. And if you look at the dirt mounds that were built, the reason it looks the way it does, this plan does show the ultimate build out of the event center. You know, it's always a phased approach. We've built what we need, what we can afford basically at times. But these trees will be planted with the understanding that when Glacier Hill Road, the curb gutter and sidewalk, at which horizon that date is put in, these trees match that particular prism. So that's why you see we did a little engineering work to put these trees, and we're going to put them in the right spot, irrigation in the right spot, so when the curb gutter and sidewalk is there, the trees are offset and fit right into that particular area. Really nice. That's what we're doing. Current project timeline, like I mentioned, the trees are on order. It takes about 3 weeks to get them, and we anticipate here in 2 weeks the landscaper will come in and start installing the irrigation for the particular trees, and hopefully the week of, I believe, August 16th, we'll start seeing irrigation put in, also trees the following week. Can I answer any questions about this particular landscaping plans?
Marty?
Yeah, I have 2 questions. First of all, you said that the trees at full maturity will be 15 to 20 feet. How tall are the trees that we're getting? And the second thing is, and this is probably going to sound a little out of the box, but comes the fall when all those trees start dropping leaves and the winds on Glassford Hill get a little crazy, is that going to create any kind of a safety hazard with people driving? Seriously.
Probably a good comment, but no more than what you have now. The pear variety you see in the median now don't cause a problem because that's part of the landscaping contract. They clean them up. So, yes, they blow them and they pick them up.
And, of course, picking up the leaves is part of the landscape contract, right?
Contract throughout the year.
Okay.
So that's
but getting back to my first question, how tall are these trees going to be initially?
Initially, they're, I believe, a 15 to 20-gallon tree, so they're 5 feet tall.
Oh, okay.
Typically about a 2-inch caliper, if I recall.
Okay. Thank you.
They reach maturity about 7 to 10 years, or a good height in that amount of time.
Jody?
Thank you, Mayor. Norm, are these the type of trees that in the holiday season that we would be able to light them because of the roads that they're on, Glassford Hill and Florentine?
Yes, we could. Those are the same varieties you see here at the Civic Center. We've kind of kept constraint. I think to your question, Councilman Rooney, is this year we actually added the lakeshore trees, and the Lake Valley trees these are the same varieties. So when they get big enough, the interesting thing was, when they're real small, they look a little like the Charlie Brown tree with lights on them. We kind of laugh about that, but as you can see, the Lake Valley trees, they've grown to the point, it's interesting how much more lights they take when they do get big to get that nice effect we see. But to answer your question, yes, we could put Christmas or holiday lights on these particular trees.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mike?
Yeah, I just have seen some dirt moving around, I think, near the new Northern Arizona Sun sign, that corner of the parking lot, and you're preparing that for the trees, or is that some other issue?
Actually, we just prepared that, if that's a right term. I don't know where the dirt piles have come over time. Of course, we had a different operator of the event center. There's been dirt deposited there and other stuff. And over the last month, the streets department has actually removed some of the deleterious material, I call it, old wooden poles, wire, fencing. There was a piled up there. We didn't know whose it was. It was on the current town property, the parking lot, so we removed it. And part of what we're talking about, too, was the dirt that was there. So we were able to utilize the dirt off the site and utilize it for the trees.
Because that is staked, and so I guess the trees will be outside the, I guess, I don't know what you call it, the barrier that encircles the parking lot.
In the right-of-way.
Yeah, in the right-of-way.
That barrier serves as a good, the chain barrier right there now. So that restricts access. That barrier, I would imagine, if you can see in the future, may be able to be removed at a certain date if we get curb and gutter, that people may understand you don't drive over the sidewalk, curb and gutter, and through the trees to get to the lot. There may come a horizon date when that curb gutter and sidewalk goes in, that chain gate would come down and add to the urban amenity in there, maybe even some landscape rock. Right now, it's just the trees and irrigation. We're planting in the shrubs, as we talked about around the big sign.
Probably irrigation than the stakes are for, I would assume.
It's probably important to point out that all of the non-asphalt area adjoining the parking area is private property, and it's for sale. And hopefully we're going to see some great buildings go up, like hotels and restaurants and things like that, in the non-asphalt area. And if there is a need for some of the asphalt area to go away to accommodate a convention hotel, we will gladly work with that. And the other thing is the agreement on the parking fully anticipates that. And so let's say there is a restaurant that goes into the dirt area right at the intersection of Northern Arizona, Sunsway, and Glassford, and they need 30 parking lots or parking spaces. Those 30 parking spaces have to be replaced by the owner of the private property, i.e. Fane's Signature or whomever is purchasing that, so they will never diminish the number of parking spots available for the event center.
Good. Other comments? Marty?
Yeah, just some of the discussion made me think of this. A lot of the dirt that is out there is also used when the rodeo is in and some other events that need it. So none of that is going to be affected, correct?
No, we were real careful. The dirt that has a fence about is very sacred to the Cowboys, and that's what goes in for.
I know that.
I think the bull riding event that's actually later this month. So you'll see that go back inside and used by the Cowboys. And I did want to point out, keep in mind to board that there's a certain amount of trees planted along Florentine too. So my focus has been talking about the preparation for Glassford that we didn't have to do along Florentine, but you can see the number of trees, another tree line across Florentine, about 20 trees along that alignment too. And that's depicted in the green on the exhibit.
Got a comment, Mike?
That's it.
Good. Any other comments? Anyone else? I guess you have to bring that back to us later.
No, it's already been awarded. It's just more for your information, Mayor.
Okay, move on to number B, Event Center Parking Lot Number 2 Rehabilitation Project. Norm, you are back up.
Board, you may recall back in November, we awarded a contract for a complete rehabilitation of lot number 1. You can see that depicted in blue. That's the depiction that you saw. The trees will be planted around Florentine and Glassford Hill Road. So there is some other parking lots that we've depicted there. The town engineer department, we depicted them as lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. As you see in your board action here, I guess as part of the bankruptcy paperwork, they've renumbered the lots to different numbers, the parking lots, so they have different numbers. But for reference, the one that we're talking about currently in this particular item is lot number 2, which, as you see depicted there, is south of Florentine. And what I'm going to talk through you with about each one of these parking lots is each one of those parking lots, they basically were not all created the same, nor are we treating them the same depending on the capital investment initially made on the lot, what it was, or what we've rehabilitated the lot into, or what we continue to want to keep it basically as a temporary parking lot. As Manager Tarkowski pointed out, those particular parking lots, if a building wants to occupy that, we don't want to spend too much investment on a permanent parking structure when a temporary type life cycle will work in anticipation that a building could go there. So we do have different treatments that staff is recommending for each one of the parking lots. So each one may be a little different, but more importantly is we're always very aware of what the cost can be, and we like to be as efficient as we can, which hopefully matching the investment made for not only long-term enjoyment of that particular amenity, or short term to say, well, we don't want to waste any money and have it taken out. So best thing to talk about is, you see lot number 1, we actually used to have a temporary type pavement out there. It was determined by the board, and we moved forward with a contractor, that we actually put 2 inches asphalt and redid the base. We spent around $600,000 on that particular parking lot. More of a permanent type of installation when there's other alternatives. Still a parking lot that can be taken out, but more of an investment made for a longer life cycle of that particular parking lot. And we'll talk about that later in the agenda about that particular finished product. But let's get to the current item you have as lot number 2. That current lot is a chip sealed lot, and very different in the particular investment was made. Good base was put in, but what we're going to do on lot number 2 is still do a short-term life cycle economical pavement and just rehabilitate the chip seal that's there. So the scope of the current project we have is to basically just regrade the lot. We've got some drainage problems. Regrade the lot and the chip seal that's there, take it up and regrade the base and put down a chip seal. Very economical. We get that for about $450 a square yard as far as the investment made with redoing the base and the chips that we put on. The other thing for efficiencies and economies of scale is staff recommendation. It's currently out for bid with our annual chip seal streets project that's funded by HERF. Well, that's about a $700,000 project cost. We figured that these particular contractors, and knowing what contractors like to do this particular work, dovetails very nice into that same contract as a bid schedule B, bid concurrently but separately, so that when a chip seal, as council's aware, needs to be done in the summer months. The timeline for that is to get started, close the bids here and actually move forward with that in the summer months to perform a chip seal, which you can only do really in the hot summer months. So we get the economies of scale. Contractors like that particular method in that they're up here doing the work. They're geared up, have the equipment on hand. We'll get very good competition in order to get this work performed. So a little different, let's call it delivery method, but when we open up bids, and we would propose to bring this back to council on May 24th board meeting as bid concurrently but separately for the award. So we get that economy of scale, which this particular project's in the neighborhood of $95,000. So kind of small, but if you get the economy of scale, we'll actually save on a unit cost and actually save money on the treatment we propose. Excuse me. So that's what staff has proposed for this particular parking lot number 2. Be happy to answer any questions you have about this particular
Questions,
project.
anyone? No other comments?
Mayor, and I think just the same comment, you can see the dirt area fronting Main Street in addition to lot number 2, as Manager Darkowski pointed out. If any particular building interest, as we really propose, could be in a real short term, there's not much parking lot investment that would go away in anticipation of that particular improvement. So very much attuned to spending only what we need for this short-term need for a parking lot.
Good. Any other comments? Okay, if not, let's move on into number 3, Event Center parking lot number 3 and 4 rehabilitation project.
Likewise, Mayor, same exhibit will utilize these lots that you see actually east of the Event Center building and north are smaller lots, but initially the investment was made to make them permanent parking lots. So they do have pavement structure that was more substantial and more cost that was put in. Excuse me, I got a dry throat. So the particular pavement treatment that the staff is recommending is very much inexpensive, and all it really needs is the top surface rehabilitated. Parking lots are best that we're really proposing, for lack of a better term. The asphaltic treatment we propose is really just a paint job. And so very economical at about $1.25 a square yard. What that does is it gets the pavement surface rehabilitated that the initial investment was made. Don't need to do any regrading. The parking lot's in pretty good shape. It's just their life cycle's in need of a freshening. And we just apply the right amount of application there. I think I had water in the bag.
Oh my gosh.
It's clean, isn't it? I don't know if I can accept the M, though.
Wait, that's my cup.
M for mother.
Thank you, Larry. So lots number 3 and 4, as I say, permanent basic installations. What we're proposing is a different procurement method that we find very economical that's been competitively bid. If state contract has these particular parking lot contractors, since there's really no plans, it's just, hey, you see the lot, spread the oil on it, and you see what you got. We're able to not have to do any effort with design plans and very economical just to go to competitively bid price at the state level, and we can use state procurement, very similar to landscaping, already competitively bid unit items. Contractors are very happy with that, and we get a streamlined approach when we do this particular procurement and use a state contract, and they come up and do the rehabilitation and the surface treatment.
Questions, comments? Anything else, Norm?
Really, the timeline for that, we'll bring it back, same May 24th board meeting to say, here's the state contract and get it awarded and move forward with, and this particular aggregate cost is around $45,000 for those 2 lots.
Oh.
As I mentioned, very different treatment to the other ones, but very appropriate for the money we're spending for not only life cycle, but it's the right fit for each parking lot for the particular use.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rick?
Well, it just came to me. Would this 2, 3, and 4, would they all be done this summer?
That is correct. We anticipate with award at the May 24th board meeting, we'll move forward right away. Probably by mid-August at the latest, everything would be done.
Good. Any other questions? If not, let's move on to number D, Event Center Sidewalk Improvements. Another one, Norm.
I'm going to utilize the same exhibit, but what a lot of this particular item is going to be is, since the last basically dozen years of operation of the event center, there's been some of the hardscape is a term I use, but there's some tune-up needs to be done on the sidewalks. There's been sidewalk panel displacement, some of that particular ability, and then some of the tree well grates have become displaced. That's due to tree growth and use and the like. So it's reasonable that we go through and use a couple methodologies in order to not only grind, if we can get away with grinding where there's been some displacement, and in some cases there's been significant displacement, we have to replace the whole sidewalk panel. So what this particular project is we've identified about 35 areas that need to be addressed, spot improvements to tune things up and make the hardscape a better service level. So about 10 of those we can grind, and about 25 will be replacements in various areas throughout the hardscape around the event center. So along Main Street and where those high pedestrian areas we're going to address with some of this $2 million in bond money. So this particular project we're going to send out for regular contractor bid and look forward to some local participation there of our local community that can participate there. But as I mentioned, it's very doable by the local contract community. We'll send it out for bid in the next couple of weeks. And likewise, we're targeting the May 24th board meeting to say, here's the bids, here's who bid and the price, and we're targeting, we have an engineering estimate of $125,000 is what the hardscape tune-ups would be, so to speak, around the event center. And that would get us into a much better service level standard.
Laura?
I'm enjoying this because I was a kid that grew up in the country, and I've been watching that deteriorate over there, and it's really bothered me. Now we're going to be really uptown, as we farm kids used to say. I'm delighted. I think that we're on the right track, and we're going to attract some businesses to those dirt lots. You just watch. This will help.
Good. Any other comments? Uptown, anybody? Norm, I think you explained it.
Good. Very good.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on then to number 5. New business for review, comment, and or action. Consideration of approving the purchase of the described basketball floor and other related equipment from the Northern Arizona Suns in the amount of $259,400 plus any applicable TPT tax.
Okay, Mayor and or Chairman and Board, what you've got before you is something a little bit different than what Norm has been bringing. Norm has been working on deferred maintenance repairs that have gone on since 2006, 2007 when the building was put up. This particular item, for the most part, is bringing in new equipment or new to us equipment that will allow the programming to expand. Okay, what we're looking at is getting the Hardwood Suns floor as an owner. So we're going to be able to put on basketball tournaments, the scores table, and the stanchions, the basketball hoops will end up being ours. Right now we can't use them to go ahead and put on a tournament if we want. We will now have, those will be ours. We will be able to put those on. In addition to that, there were some repairs to the locker room and upgrades to the locker rooms, and that's essentially what we've got. Now, you will recall that you approved the sale of $2 million worth of bonds back in July. We moved forward with that, and then there was a hiccup at the national level. That roadblock was repaired or removed, and then we moved forward with the actual sale of those. I believe it was January, early February, and so now we're able to buy equipment, make the repairs that we need to do, and we will fully utilize the net to us, which was a little over $1.8 million, and that will be in top flight shape by the time we're done with it.
Good. Any questions? Marty?
So we're going to be buying the floor that the Northern Arizona Suns are using now?
Yes.
Okay, will we have to impose a fee on the Suns when they use it?
No.
Okay. Just asking. Thank you.
Hey, Jody?
I'm interested in the life cycle of this equipment, basically when we would have to update it or spend the money again.
You're asking when will that happen? If it's well taken care of, we will get a good 15 years out of it.
15. Okay.
Any other questions?
The floor itself will go ahead and require, according to best management practices, about every 3 to 5 years, depending on the use and depending on the care given. You come in and refinish and revarnish and all that. But a lot of that depends on use. So, for example, over at Bradshaw Mountain High School, that thing gets pounded every day during the school year. They end up having to refinish it certainly much more frequently than we will this floor.
Good. Laura?
I didn't really understand this when I was first reading it, but after processing it, it makes sense because we can expand events that we hold there by doing this. Yeah. That alone is enough reason to do this, in my opinion.
It will pay for itself over time. And so, for example, in conversations with our management company, Spectra, this opens the door to a number of, say, for example, high school tournaments or even adult tournaments where fees are charged. That will end up attracting not only business to the arena, but then the business in our business area and the tax proceeds that will be generated from that. It's all part of the package.
Good. Other questions? Mike?
Yeah, is that floor 2 years old? Did that come new with the Northern Arizona Suns?
Actually, that's a very good question. It's only 2.25 years old. The Phoenix Suns purchased that from the NCAA, where that floor was used in the Western regionals, and I believe it was in the, if my memory is right, it was in the women's Final Four tournament. And they purchased it, I believe it was used up in Boise, and they brought it down, refinished it, put their Suns logo on it and all that, but very good hardwood. I believe the hardwood was brought in from up where Bill Copey comes from, up in that part of Wisconsin and Michigan.
Good. Other questions? Larry got one. It says something about taxpayer or TPT. You say the floors are used, aren't they? Why would we pay TPT on it?
We're not paying TPT on it.
It said in the
okay, then that
plus
was
in the applicable TPT is what the agenda says.
No, we're not paying that. There is some reimbursement in the total sale that when the Phoenix Suns purchased some of this stuff. If they ended up having to pay it, then it's being passed on to us. We're paying cost for things like the basketball hoops. Believe it or not, those rascals are very expensive.
Yeah, that explains it. That's what I thought it should be.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? No?
I'll make a motion.
Motion? Okay, we're ready for motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the described basketball floor and other related equipment from the Northern Arizona Suns in the amount of $259,400 by electronic vote.
Second, Mike?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Will you set the vote, Diane?
It passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. We'll move on to number B. consideration of approving change order number 1 for a decrease in the contract amount of $31,718.41, Event Center parking lot, number 1 rehabilitation project. Change order number 1. Norm, you are up.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and Board, this item we have before you is the lot number 1 I touched upon before. This project was awarded in November, and due to the great or lack of winter season that we typically expect here, this project went very well. And actually, in a few time period, the project was actually completed on January 9th. We had a brand new parking lot. So the project went very well, and as I mentioned, the original award was for $588,000. Project went very well, no real unforeseen conditions, and really what you have before you, when we paid for as-built quantity items on a very large project, it went very well, that there was actually a decrease in the as-built quantities measured in the field. So it's important to point out there's a changeover for a decrease of $31,000. Basically an administrative change order to say, yes, part of finance requirements is we have to capitulate the original award and actually reduce the contract amount for what was actually paid to the contractors. So a particular finance housekeeping paperwork to adjust the contract down by $31,000 to pay for just due to as-built quantities being less than what was anticipated.
Mark the calendar.
Okay, any other comments? Keep doing it, Norm. Bring in this.
I was going to remark that
Cost.
I've never seen a change order that's a decrease. It's always an overage, but
15 years I haven't seen it.
Well, we do them quite frequently when they come in on time and on budget, but this is outside the administrative authority of the manager. So this project came with about 3%, just 3% below. So yes, we have to bring it to you because outside we typically can have the manager sign procurement for less than $16,000 when it comes in very good.
Mary, you got a comment?
I was just going to say that it is wonderful to see a decrease. And tonight's exciting because, you know, it's been several years we've been putting money into this event center. And this year is different because we actually get to make so many great improvements, which only improves the community and moves things forward, which was always a dream anyway. So I'm really enjoying this. And the fact that all of this will benefit the kids, too, as we move forward with the basketball floor and all of that. It's great. It's really good stuff, and it's good for the community, and that's what this is all about.
I'd like to comment, too. Staff's been having a lot of fun with this. Anytime this we can get all staff, the engineering have had fun with doing parking lots. It's something different we don't get to do all the time. You saw the street staff really got engaged when I said, hey, I need a little help with some dirt. It's easy, you know, at the scope, can you go out and do it? And they were out very quickly, and you saw them taking the pride in doing that effort there to put the dirt in there for the trees. So everyone's got to touch that a little bit as staff members, and we're happy to do that. It's fun to do something different, as I say. It's
Marty?
Yeah, I think Norm should be congratulated because of the way we procure our building materials and our asphalt materials, you know, the bid process that we use. I think that contributed heavily to us saving almost $32,000. So thank you for you and your team's effort on doing that, and it shows. Thank you.
Any other comments? Jody?
Thank you, Mayor. So, Norm, are we going to use the savings to light those new trees on Florentine and Glassford Hill?
That'll be another item for purchase of lights, I would imagine. Mayor, I think we are looking for an action from the board on this particular item.
I can imagine this one is going to be really tough. Laura? Yep. Anyone care to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve change order number 1 for a decrease in the contract amount of $31,718.41, Event Center parking lot number 1 rehabilitation project, change order number 1.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, with a motion and a second. Do you want to set the vote, Diane?
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. Were you surprised, Norm? Passed unanimously?
I'm glad for that.
Okay. Now, next we go to the comments from the public. This time, Laura will read it.
Consideration and discussion of general unscheduled comments from the public. Those wishing to address the boards needs not request permission in advance. Any such remark shall be addressed to the boards as a whole and not to any member thereof. Such remarks shall be limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the chairman.
You are up. You want to have some comments?
If the basketball floor is approved, will there be any programs that will benefit kids in our community, like basketball workshops for kids?
The answer to your question is yes. The company that we pay to run the arena in the summertime is now planning to do any number of things, and for the last 2 summers, they have had pickleball tournaments inside, but not on the new floor. But I believe that you're going to see much more programming in the arena that will benefit the likes of yourself and your friends, and you will have an opportunity to get better at basketball.
Good question. I think for the record, you better give Diane your name again.
David Herman.
Thank you, David. Any other comments from the public?
Did that put a smile on your face, David? Good.
Okay, if there's no other comments, then we got one more item, and that's a motion to adjourn. Anyone care to so move?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second, anyone?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you set the vote?
Passes unanimously, Mayor.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Appreciate that. Good job.